It's time to transform and roll out with this year's Transformers Legacy 2022 Rundown.
Our worlds are in danger.
Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome to the final rundown of the 2022 season, uploaded in 2023. A long time coming, we have the Transformers Legacy Rundown. Now, Transformers Legacy is the current Transformers lineup for the main quote-unquote collector line. While this makes up a bulk of the toys that come out at retail, it's still technically a spin-off from the kids' lines. And speaking of, we're talking about just Transformers Legacy. This is the current evolved iteration of the Generations line that we've seen for several years now within the Transformers fandom. Now, compared to past years, this isn't so G1 heavy. Most of the collector's lines since Classics have been G1 inspired, but we finally broke out of that with Kingdom and Beast Wars, video about that specifically on the channel already. And this year, we're actually looking at Generations, not Generation. I think the TF Wiki put it best when they said this is putting the S in Generations. Because Transformers Legacy is not just G1 or even its immediate spin-offs like Headmasters, but going into things like Armada or Prime or Beast Wars or just some different things. And then going forward, there's even more coming up. So what's really great is that we're looking at an expansion of the Generations lineup to multiple different eras. Now, because of that, there was quite a few releases, almost 90 figures released for just Legacy. So we're covering in this video just Legacy. So there won't be any Studio Series, there won't be any Shattered Glass, we won't be looking at Transformers Collaborative, even though Tonkinator is awesome, and of course, we're not looking at any of the kids' lines that have come out like Earthspark. So because of that, we're kind of putting that aside to just focus on Legacy. If it didn't have Legacy on the packaging, it's not getting covered here. And that is just to keep this streamlined so this video isn't super duper long. But adding to that, because there were so many things released, I had to pull in some help to kind of pull this video together because I didn't buy everything and I wanted to make sure the video felt fuller. So I brought in my awesome graphic designer, DarkClaw643, aka Ryan, who you can find on Twitter at this Twitter handle, at DarkClaw643. He was able to provide some segments of this video, and you will know when it switches focus from me to him because, well, you know, it's Transformers. You'll see how it happens. And then adding to that, this year in general was just so great for bringing in the spirit of Transformers as a franchise, not just as its 80s pocket. And I think that's why we're doing a Transformers rundown for the first time on this channel. And if you want to see another one, be sure to watch this video all the way through, leave comments, like button, share this around because minor spoilers, but this was a ton of work from both of us. And I don't want to go through this again if this isn't going to be something that's going to perform well on the channel. So if you want to see a Legacy Evolution rundown in a year from now, be sure to share the video, like it, subscribe, comments, all that good stuff. Now, of course, we got a lot to get through, so I'm not going to spend any more time, but I do want 2 more bullet points here. First things first, we're not talking about the packaging for Transformers, which is a discussion to be had in a video I already did on Hasbro's plastic-free packaging initiative. I covered pretty much every packaging type there, so check that out if you haven't. Also, quality control. While not as rampant as something like the Power Rangers Lightning Collection, see the rundown there, and not as good as something like the G.I. Joe's Classified series, see the rundown there, or just non-negotiable like Marvel Legends, also rundown, you can actually see that there are some problems with the Transformers line. I can't get into all the specifics all the time because these are issues that have been consistently brought up year after year, and it's things Hasbro's improving on. For example, discoloration of plastic is still happening, and Hasbro's still trying to figure out why that's happening. It's just stuff is yellowing even though it's not got any sunlight, or it's just out of the box. It's kind of a weird thing they're trying to work out with plastic formulas, and hopefully that gets solved. Another issue is cracked joints. This keeps popping up. I'm not exactly sure why that's happening, but that's something to keep an eye on. And then adding to that, generally, most Transformers come out with solid enough joints to hold them up, but others have issues standing or posing because of the looseness in their joints. But like I said, these are ongoing problems, so I want to mention them, but we're not going to harp on them because I think Hasbro's working to improve these as we're seeing over time. So on that note, we have all of our history of the line out of the way. Let's get into the line. We're going to go through all the retail figures, class by class, and then we'll go through all the exclusives. Let's begin the Transformers Legacy Rundown 2022. Core Class, Wave 1. Our first figure is Iguanus from Generation 1's Pretender era. Now, Iguanus is a MonsterCon, part of the Pretenders. He has this outer shell that looks more monstrous, and that's what the robot mode on this new version represents. Now, the original Pretender toys had a shell that splits in half to have an inner robot that would turn into a vehicle. This chose to merge the shell design with the vehicle. So the result is a vehicle mode that looks pretty close to the original toy's vehicle, but having a couple more of those iguana elements like the tail being the seat of the vehicle. Really cool idea of how to update the Pretenders.
Hot Rod's a repack from Kingdom and isn't really great, while the other G1 characters scaled down sculpts of their Siege and Earthrise molds. Hot Rod is 100% new, it isn't great, but very many details, simple and barely any paint, and also the cracked knee on the box. Transformation is a mess with a lot of parts getting in the way of each other, as well as making sure everything is tabbed in is a chore. His vehicle mode, however, is nice and solid, and he also comes with his sword. Skywork, like always, is a repaint of Starscream having a nice matte black and purple with real clean silver paint. Transformation is very unique for a secret mold, and the jet mode is very sleek. The major problem with the figures, he doesn't come with Norris, which is more of a bigger problem with the upcoming Thundercracker coming with his. Instead, Skywark comes with this weird tuning fork weapon, which I guess you can annoy the Autobots with. Though, if you have all three Wave 1 core figures, you can make the only real build of weapon they tried before they gave up after Wave 1.
Core Class, Wave 2.
Wave 2 has a repack Core Optimus from Kingdom. Overall, he's a nice pocket-sized figure, though his truck cut is very elongated. Next up is G2 Megatron, which is a repaint Core Megatron from Kingdom. Now G2 color scheme. I don't have the figure, but I do have the Kingdom one. Like Optimus, he's a nice small figure. He also comes with his G1 gun mode, which is a weapon, which is also his tank barrel. Really, all you need now is this iconic line. Last of Wave 2 is Core Shockwave, which is a scaled-down version of a Siege leader mold. Having a lot of the same details where even his vehicle is his full super battleship mode. Also, you look at his landing gear, it's a 5mm peg, so you can have other figures hold him as a gun. The only weird thing about this figure is his weapon, which is a radar dish. Guess even the Decepticons need better reception.
Core Class, Wave 3. Next up, we have Soundwave from Generation 1 as a repack of his Kingdom release. I love this little guy. He's been sitting on my desk for like 2 years now, and he just turned out really, really great, even if his quality means his joints are loose. He has a simple and easy transformation that's just fun to fiddle with. I'm constantly switching this guy back and forth. He makes such a great desk toy. And adding to that, you can actually eject Laserbeak from his tape deck door, which is just kind of an incredible little detail on such a small figure. Rounding out our core class for the year, we have Bombburst from Generation 1's Pretender era. Bombburst, much like Iguanus, takes the Pretender shell design, the more bat-looking design, for its robot mode, and it just looks really, really cool. I just love the uniqueness of the Pretenders, specifically the Decepticon Pretenders. His transformation's pretty dirt simple, and you can kind of get him from one mode to another pretty easily, and much like Iguanus, it's based on his original inner robot. And you can see here that it's almost a one-for-one for that G1 inner robot plane mode. It's just as blocky and just as not aerodynamic as it was originally. Deluxe Class, Wave 1. Our first Deluxe Class figure is Dragstrip from the Generation 1 universe, the first of the new Stunticons. Now, we don't necessarily needed a brand new Menasor because we did have the Combiner Wars version, but Dragstrip here brings up a lot more unique tooling and a lot more closer to cartoon accurate look, well, not being exact, but a nice update to that. I actually find the transformation to this guy to be really fun. Despite being a component of a combiner, he actually has a really interesting, unique transformation to himself, which I think is great compared to the Combiner Wars version, which kind of recycled another mold. And the actual car mode turned out great. He's got the 6 tires, there's places for his blasters to mount on top, and I think it's got the overall shape of the car that we would be expecting from Dragstrip. Next up, we have one of my most anticipated figures, Deluxe Skids from Generation 1. Now, Skids has an interesting history, only appearing in 2 episodes of the G1 cartoon, and being a really prominent character in the G1 Marvel comic, one of my favorite pieces of Transformers media. So of course I was really excited about it, and I think his robot mode turned out great. His transformation is incredibly finicky, and I'm not a big fan of it. You have to kind of line up a lot of things very specific in a very specific order to get to all close up together, and so it can be kind of a headache to actually transform this guy. However, the end result can't be beat. While I don't like the use of clear plastic, as I think that causes fragility in the future, I think the overall car mode did turn out good. If there's no interior to show, don't bother doing clear windows. Kicking off a new set of Insecticons, we have Kickback. We've done Insecticons before, but now they're in a deluxe scale, and they look very good. I think it's a good mixture of the cartoon look as well as the original toy look to provide a great robot, even if I'm not a big fan of the giant clear plastic sword things. Transforming Kickback is dirt simple, because that's how the Insecticons transform. There's no complaints here because this is how it's done. Now the Grasshopper mode looks cool, but let's get those weird swords off because that gives them a better look. I just don't like the extra energon weapons in a lot of cases, and in this instance, I really do like Kickback without those extra wing bits.
Alright, let's start with the Prime characters, with Arcee, and the whole generation style they have. To be fair, out of the year 1 figures, she's one of the better ones, and she shows a lot of Prime Arcee's characteristics. Round shoulders, sort of spiky elbow knees, and her wingdings. But man, that head sculpt is very bad. Barely looks anything like her, and compared to the other female figures, just doesn't look good. Also, instead of coming with her main blaster and blaze, she comes with this weird blue energon shield shuriken thing that you can split apart to be sort of her arm blades. You can also remove her front wheel to form this weird blaster thing. Man, how's her sure like your speedy weapons, don't they? Transformation is fine, though do know you can lock the waist that destructors don't tell you. Bike mode's fine, kinda looks like the one in the Prime, though it's small, so don't bother putting 4-inch figures on it. Overall, the figure isn't bad at all, just as a new figure Prime Arcee, it falls flat at representing her. Might work better as other characters though.
Deluxe Class, Wave 2. Another wave, another Stunticon, here's Wild Rider. Now, Wild Rider's tricky to pull off in order to be the component he needs to be for Menasor, as well as an individual toy, so I don't think he turned out as good as Dragstrip, but he does have a good robot mode look, and I especially like the head design, since it does line up to his original cartoon appearance. Transforming him is not as fun as Dragstrip. It's a lot of things that have to go in a specific way, in a specific order, to make sure they fit and squeeze into the spaces they need to, and it can be kind of a headache. Breakdown from Legacy Evolution is the same way. Though, can't argue with the results, the car mode looks good, and it needs to for the final Menasor combination, as we'll look at later in the video, but I think it did turn out pretty okay overall. Rounding out our Beast Wars collection at Star Wars Kingdom, we finally have Tarantulas. Now, Tarantulas, I think, turned out pretty good as a robot mode. He looks a lot like the original animation model, while being more influenced by the toy and adding the extra realistic details that we saw with the Kingdom Beast Wars figures. This doesn't look out of place. Much like Kingdom Scorponok, however, his transformation is a complete nightmare. A lot of pieces have to turn and rotate to fit into a space. I'm glad he's not a retool of Black Arachnia, because I think that wouldn't have worked out as it did in the original Beast Wars line, and it definitely feels like he's got more of that sort of haphazardness that comes with some of the Beast Wars figures, like I said, Scorponok prior. But man, the result is pretty great. This is a pretty spot-on actual Tarantula mode based on the animated look, and I think that adding the realistic details to it make it for a very, very cool spider. And it's really cool to have a new update Tarantulas that is separated from Black Arachnia and they can work independently.
The one's a pre-tool Minerva. Yes, I know Minerva came after, but the mold's pretty much meant for Minerva. But works great for Elita 1 also. Finally getting a Fembot that isn't super curvy, and while still having a backpack, it's very clean. If you want her to look different from Minerva, you can fold these down. Figumo's nice little bucket with a little hat on it. Overall, Legacy Elita 1 is probably the best figure of the character, and so much better than the Netflix figure. Prime Knockout is a remodel Studio AAC Jazz, and has the same problem Arcee, but even worse. Now he barely looks anything like his original design, besides the vehicle, which is the only good thing about this toy. On top of that, his weapon's the worst, because due to the mold not having no whistle, you can't get any good spear poses!
Deluxe Class, Wave 3. Another wave, another Stunticon, here is Dead End. Now, Dead End, I think, turned out really nice looking in the robot mode. I think the robot mode turned out pretty good. The feet are a little weird, but considering how the G1 models look, this isn't too off. His transformation shares some ideas from drag strips, so actually transforming him is pretty fun. I think the only problem is that the back spoiler area doesn't really hold together too well, which we'll see with Menasor is going to look fine, but not amazing. And overall, I do think the car mode is good. I like the overall shape, the design, I like that the blasters fit on the back, and it's just kind of a bummer that's not fully clipped together. Next up, we have a brand new Target Master, Point Blank with Peacemaker. Now, Point Blank here is definitely more inspired by his G1 cartoon appearance in the 3-part Rebirth, as opposed to his G1 anime appearance in the Headmasters. While this is going to be a deal breaker for some, it doesn't bother me too much. And I also am not that bothered by the hips or the waist thing. I actually kind of like it. It's different and weirdly proportioned in kind of a cool way. Of course, he does come with Peacemaker, not that Peacemaker. He comes with Peacemaker, the Target Master, who does have a blaster form, and a quick flip transformation remnant of the G1 toy, and you get Peacemaker's robot form. This isn't as nice as the Battle Masters from Siege, but I actually like the smaller size, and I actually don't mind it because I'm really glad to have the Target Master with the partner. Transforming Point Blank can be fun, though a little frustrating. There's a couple spots, like having to lift the windshield up to squeeze the feet in, that make it a bit finicky, and little side panel things pop off a lot. But it is kind of a neat transformation that's different than what we normally see for cars. The only bummer is that you can't put Peacemaker inside the driver's seat like the original, so you end up just clipping the gun form on the back of the spoiler, which is fine, it's just not as cool as having it in the cockpit. Overall, I do like the car mode, and in general, I think that Point Blank suffered a bit because he included the Target Master, but I'd rather he have the Target Master as opposed to not coming with it and having to buy it separate or they never make it. Now, Wave 1 also features Crankcase. Many people may not know Crankcase because he was part of the TriggerCons from the Euro G1 line. After Transformers G1 ended in the US, Europe kept it going, and he was one of those exclusive characters, represented here as a retool of Skids. So much like Skids, the transformation is really finicky. While some things have been changed with the way the shoulders work or the way the doors work, it still has that general area of kind of like, oh, gotta get this specific thing squeezed in here and squeezed shut and pushed in and get this here. And once you do get a pretty good truck mode. I do like the extra grille on the front, so it has a completely different look than Skids, even though they share a lot of engineering and parts. So I think overall Crankcase turned out pretty good. And then we have another pretender this year with Skullgrin. Now what's interesting with Skullgrin, unlike his core class counterparts, the robot mode is actually a fusion of his pretender shell as well as his inner robot design, as opposed to just mostly being pretender shell. But he's got that really cool skull on him, so I think it worked out for the best. His transformation is nothing remarkable. This definitely felt like a figure that was more focused on its robot mode, particularly with making that Skullgrin look really work, as opposed to a vehicle mode. Also, for some reason, his swords are made of a gummier rubbery plastic, which is the only instance of that I've seen in Transformers this year. It's kind of strange. But when you get his tank mode together, sure, it's a block with no tires, so it can't roll at all, but hey, it's a vehicle mode if you want it. I could have just been cool with a Skullgrin figure without this, so it's just a bonus for me. Voyager Class, Wave 1.
So, what's the one thing you think about Bulkhead's design? Why yes, he is friend-shaped. He is round. Both anime and prime Bulkheads are round boys. So, tell me why that they decide to take a round boy here and combine him with a brick! Like seriously, this thing isn't even Bulkhead, besides the head and wrecking ball. This could have been Heatwave, or even Movie Hound, as he turns into a military truck, which I'm not personally a fan of because Bulkhead's never been a military themed character. Like at least Knockout vehicle was the same as the original, but not Bulkhead. This figure's the worst of the generation style figures.
Voyager Class Blaster and Eject originally came out during Kingdom, but during the last wave, so I think a lot of people got him during Legacy. And he turned out pretty great. I love that we got an updated blaster to go with Soundwave. He's very G1 accurate while taking in some of the toy design. His transformation's really fun. I was actually kind of surprised about how the arms went into the legs to transform as opposed to just folding the arms back, which a lot of toys do. And I think that just gave him a uniqueness, especially compared to Soundwave. His tape deck mode's pretty great, and apparently that blaster on the back is an antenna, which I learned recently. Of course, being a tape deck, he does have an opening cassette door, which works in both modes. And that means you get a cassette tape who's completely transparent blue plastic because he's molded with the door. Transformation is pretty simple, but then you get Eject, who is one of Blaster's main cassettes. We are getting Rewind with the upcoming twin cast, so hopefully Ramhorn and Steeljaw are on the way. Voyager Class, Wave 2. So Blaster got repacked in Wave 1, Soundwave got repacked in Wave 2. This is the Siege version with all the battle damage removed on the actual Legacy release. Mine is the original Siege, which is why you see all the scratches and stuff. It's cool. I like the ship mode for this thing. It's pretty neat, and it makes sense to put Soundwave out again with Blaster, but I think they should have just waited until the Wal-Mart exclusive Soundwave could have been free from its exclusive license and re-released that. Hailing all the way from the Generation 2 comic book is G-Axis. Now, G-Axis was a character introduced as a late-game villain in the G2 comic right before it was canceled, because it's a pun on G-Axis. And it's really cool to see a figure of this guy that looks like the original artwork, and that is kind of amazing. He even transforms, with his transformation being kind of fun and friendly. I actually was kind of surprised at how interesting and unique this guy is, considering the actual robot mode features very little kibble on the back. He transforms really, really well. And voila! G-Axis' weird jet mode was put together pretty good. While not 100% comics accurate, it never could be because that design was never intended to have a toy. I think they did a great job translating this character while opening this mold up to be reused in the future. Voyager Class, Wave 3. For the royalty! Beast Wars Season 1 is complete with Inferno. As the last Season 1 Beast Wars character, I think Inferno turned out fantastic. He has a good relation to the animation model, where he's not exact because he can't shrink the bug legs as much as the original model did, but he looks really spot on, especially the head with the opening mouth. He even can do the propeller butt thing so he can fly around. It's just a wonderful little detail that totally wasn't necessary but appreciated. Now, just like the other bugs, whether it be Black Arachnia or Scorponok or Tarantulas, Inferno is kind of a pain to transform. Compressing that much body mass down into a bug shape has proven to be very difficult, and I don't think any of them are that fun to transform, and Inferno's no exception. I don't really enjoy this transformation. But once you get him in his Fire Ant mode, you can't argue with the results. He looks amazing. I do wish the gun could store in the butt, but that's where the legs are, so it's understandable it's just plugged on the top. But I think he turned out really great, and I love seeing an updated Inferno. And then our other Voyager Wave 3 is Armada Universe Starscream. And this Starscream looks right out of the Armada show. While not an exact match like none of these are, I think it's a great update to the character, and you can get the essence of Armada Starscream, especially with the way the wing can be folded to imitate how the wing was removed to be the sword in the show. Adding to that, his minicon gimmick is still here with the cannons that flip forward, and I think that's pretty fantastic. Also, you can flip the cannons back to kind of free up his head, which I think was a really smart choice. Now, I really do enjoy the transformation on this Starscream. It's not exactly like an easy transformation, it's not a one-to-one of the original toy, but it definitely has that same vibe of everything's moving in the same places. And just in general, I do like how everything compresses down into a very clean jet mode. Now, when turning it to robot mode, if you swing the legs down, the head pops up, which is very anime. And overall, the jet mode looks good. It's nice to finally see Armada get some love, and I love that this jet mode is complete, including the minicon gimmick of the cannons folding forward, even if we don't get the minicon. Leader Class, Wave 1. Our first Leader Class is a repack of Kingdom Galvatron. Much like the Soundwave, this was the Galvatron without the battle damage, which is why you're seeing my original Kingdom Galvatron with the battle damage. Still an excellent figure, probably even better in its Legacy release. And I've always loved the cannon mode on this version because it feels like a substantial tank cannon thing, and I love that all the accessories plug onto it. So if you hadn't get Galvatron from Kingdom, definitely get the Legacy version.
Voyager Optimus is a half remodel to Earthrise Optimus mold, kind of. It's mostly the legs with the cast getting new detail. The figure comes with an Energon sword like the original figure, but also this Energon X, which you combine with the sword to become a bigger sword. Also new is they added these missile pods inside his giant shoulders, because they want to do something with the empty space. Although a big problem with the figures, unlike past versions, these do not move, so it limits his arm movement. Also, he has a very flat matrix now, and while his eyes do have light piping, Hasbro for some reason painted the back. No, you soulless. Like all leader parties, comes with his trailer, which turns into a battle station. Man, it's lame. I can't include all the weapons from the GT toy, but it's so empty. And only having this tiny turret gun and this weird claw arm that the GT toy didn't even have. Treasures are right though, it serves the same problem as Core Hobble by parts getting in the way of each other. Truck was nice, as it made me notice one of the details that some people may not like. Like the 2010 reveal, the Shield figure has the Bay vs. Flame decal on the front, but it knows it makes a break for some. Like the original toy, you can store the sword on the bottom and the axe on top, or you can store in the tanker. The tanker is a nice dark gray with some nice molding on it, although it's missing the wonderful sticker Optimus like the Forza Fire. Overall, Laser Optimus is a fine figure, not something you need, especially if you have the Earthrise mold, but your fan design's alright.
Leader Class, Wave 2.
Like Autotrain before him, Blitzwing's our next leader triple changer. He is more cartoon accurate, though his head is more based off the 86 movie. Like always, he comes with his gun and sword, but also these weird Aerojet and Hulk hands. Probably to justify the price. That kinda look like the Aerojet Commander hands. So he can shoot his finger guns or do his body shot action. Transforming him into tank mode isn't hard, just making sure everything taps into place. Tank mode looks nice, not much cable for another mode, well except this thing on the front, but that is accurate to the cartoonmology due to some build designer not take out the cable from the toy. You can store the weapons on the side with good luck hiding the sword. You can take the Hulk hands and place it on the tank turret to be, I guess, missile pods? Transforming from tank to jet, just flipping it upside down, pulling out the jet bits, and yeesh! Has some junk down there. Yeah, like most Transformer, has a lot of junk, but much worse here because of the tank bits. Yes, he does have cheating wings on for his robot mode, but personally I don't mind it. Storing the weapon is more easier compared to tank mode, and you can take the Hulk hands and paste them to the back to make these super boosters. So while the jet mode's kind of a mess, it is the one of the better Blitzwing figures out there compared to past ones. Besides, if you're gonna have War for Cyber to the Autotrain, you might as well get his buddy.
Leader Class, Wave 3. Beast Wars Season 1 is over and we're moving on to Transmetals with Transmetal 2 Megatron. This is an excellent Transformer. The overall robot design is more inspired by the original toy as opposed to the animation model, but that's probably a good thing as you get some more details. But no chrome whatsoever, so this won't have the flaking problem the original did. Transforming this guy can be a bit of a finicky mess. It's much like the actual dinosaur Megatron from Season 1 Beast Wars from Kingdom, where you had to get a lot of pieces and components moving into place to make sure it all lines up correctly. It's not so much a smooth experience, but once you get all that transformation done with, you get the wonderful dragon mode of Transmetal 2 Megatron, and he looks amazing. This is one of the best alt modes we've ever seen in Transformers, and it is by far a highlight of the year. He looks incredible, he's got a lot of great posability, and that fire breath effect is pretty cool. What's funny is Megatron can also hold that accessory as a flaming Cheeto Club of Doom or something. It's actually reused from Last Night Megatron, which is honestly kind of a cool thing to do. Commander Class. This year's Commander Class is Motormaster, forming the majority of the Stunticon combiner, Menasor. Now this is actually packed in vehicle mode, which is how I prefer Transformers to be shipped personally, but it's actually kind of unnerving because he's a giant brick just kind of slotted into a box. But once you get him out, he's actually a pretty substantial brick, and this truck mode looks really good. Now, unlike the original G1 design, Motormaster just transforms from the truck cab. The trailer will be used for things later. But transforming him is actually quite fun. I think that sheeting the actual feet gives him better proportions, and I don't mind it whatsoever, and overall I love the way it works. The results cannot be denied because Motormaster's robot mode is the best looking Motormaster figure I think we've ever gotten. It invokes the G1 cartoon design, and it does it very well. I love the way it looks, and it's really nicely proportioned. Now, this trailer basically just explodes into a bunch of pieces to form different modes for things to interact with Motormaster. The first thing we're going to do is get to the base mode, which is essentially just splitting up all the pieces and then rearranging them in a neat little fashion, and it's kind of fun to do, but it's never anything I'm displaying. Because, I mean, yes, it's a base mode, but it kind of looks like a bunch of robot parts standing around with a cannon in the center, and that cannon can freestand as well, so I don't understand the point of it unless you really love base modes. Naturally, Motormaster is part of the 5-part Stunticon combiner known as Menasor. We're including Legacy Breakdown there on the left just to make this more complete. So let's take apart that base mode because this is going to be used for combiner kibble. First things first, Motormaster is going to become the bulk of the torso, but not the entire torso of Menasor, because this time around, Menasor isn't actually in the Stunticons, but in this frame that is made out of Motormaster's trailer. Case in point, the cars are essentially just cars, not actual limbs, and then you can attach them to the individual legs. And what's cool is when you plug them into the legs, they actually push forward doors so that it actually closes up the leg design, so you have something to look at from the front as well as the back. For the arms, it's actually kind of a cool, really complex system where you have to kind of fold out the arms, but then once you plug the car on, you're splitting the figure in half across 2 parts of the arm so that Motormaster can have a natural looking elbow. And then attaching all the limbs is quick and easy with some nice attachment hardpoints. And here is the beautiful Legacy Menasor, a total upgrade over the Combiner Wars version in just looks and styling. It is the most G1 accurate you can get. It is a dude with cars slapped on him. Adding to that, most importantly, he is super duper stable. You can shake this guy and he's not going to fall apart. he's solid. Though I will say there are some stress marks that have appeared on my Wild Rider when plugging it into the leg component, and I'm not sure if that's happening on everybody's yet. You can also use the rest of the components, which makes this cannon tower for him to hold it, but that just looks silly. But it does work as a gun, so if you're okay with just having that little part off to the side, this is probably the best official menasor we're ever gonna get. Titan Class.
You hear that, folks? Yes, that's Savo, working man. It's Cybertron Metroplex. Okay, I'm gonna have some bias here as Cybertron is my first Transformers series, but man, this figure's almost perfect. First, he's the only Titan class figure that is in scale with the rest of the line, because while in the series Metroplex is a giant, he isn't a Titan like the others. We're gonna use core class or similar to make them scale well with other Titan class figures. You put Metroplex next to your past Cybertron figures, and he scales perfectly unlike the original figure. Also, due to him being a Titan class figure, he has so many heavy ratchets. He's also the first that isn't a giant lizard to have an opening mouth. They also upped the worker mode to make more logical sense. Where the original figure is just in short mode, here they make him look like a construction bot. Stuff like giving him a welding mask, use guns to shoot down debris, the shells in the feet move rocks, and having his weapon split in two, fit his arms so he can pump him like he's mining. It's so great! Vehicle mode is the bucket wheel excavator mode. It is great. Yes, that is a real vehicle. It's huge, the bucket yards can spin, and it has a spot where you can place a microbot in. Alright, let's talk about the big convoy in the room. He doesn't come with drill bit, his Megatron, nor a cyber key, and his weapon doesn't even have a cyber key slot compared to Override, who does. They probably got cut for budget reasons due to the size of him and his weapon, but I do notice they did future-proof it if they ever do release a drill bit figure, as he has a seat for him on the shovel arm, where pegs and clip where drill bit will usually sit. And for his cyber key, where unlike Override where her weapon can recreate the original gimmick, Metroplex can't, so why include it? Besides, the gimmick wasn't just opens up. That's it. Overall, the real only complaint I have with the figure is his hands are pretty bad. He can barely hold his weapon, and because how heavy his weapon is, it really is hard to pose him. But otherwise, this is one of the best Titans they have ever released. And I think it helps that he's in scale with your old collection, and you can easily be placed in it. So if there's any figure to get, I recommend this one.
Generation Selects. So in a twist of fate, for the first time, we had 2 Titan class figures in 1 year with Black Zarak. Now, Black Zarak, of course, is the villain of Super God Master Force, and he is a black repaint of Scorponok with a brand new head design and a new pike. In general, I'm really impressed at how just simply changing the head really gave him a different look and silhouette than Scorponok. It just looks like a different character. He, of course, does have the city mode that you'd expect, which is basically the same as Scorponok's, and it's alright. You can have Zarak, his headmaster, sit in sort of a throne-like position in the back there, but trying to use other figures any larger than a Deluxe Class is going to look really strange, and even Deluxes don't look like they're having that much fun. I mean, gee, put G-Axis in there, he doesn't even look like he fits. Though Core Class is probably the best thing to interact with the large playset style, just because of their smaller size. Now, of course, Black Zarak is a double headmaster like Scorponok, so here is his smaller component, which naturally does a flip and lands into a head mode. And the smaller Zarak here is amazing. It's got new horns, which look for great weapons, and then he also has that wonderful scar chest detail in the middle. I just love that they added the eye patch to him. That extra, like, double layered plastic to get the scar is just really incredible, and it made this guy feel like he was worth the money. Of course, this Zarak does transform into the head for Black Zarak, as well as Black Zarak's other alt mode. That alt mode being the Giant Scorpion, which somehow is even cooler than Scorponok's Giant Scorpion by adding the red pike as an extra stinger, and I love it. I love this mode so much. I mean, there's Crasher for a comparison of like a Deluxe to this massive, gigantic Scorpion of Death. Our next generation Selects is a lot lower scale, and it's Cyclonus and Nightstick. This is essentially the Kingdom Cyclonus done up in the G1 toy colors, which also comes with a sticker sheet that I didn't use, and Nightstick the Target Master. Nightstick the Target Master is, of course, a repaint slash retool of a Siege Battlemaster, and I think that works out pretty good for the size of Cyclonus. So Nightstick looks pretty good. I mean, he's basically just a silver and black bot. It's nice to get an update since we had a Nightstick back in the Universe 2 line in 2008. Transforming Cyclonus is a dream. I love this mold. I was really not sold on getting another Cyclonus, but once I did get the Kingdom one, I really fell in love with this mold, and so as soon as the toy color version was available, I was like, yeah, I really want that, because I like those darker colors the toy had, as opposed to the lighter purple. I love the ship mode for Cyclonus, I just love its design overall, and of course you can have it with the normal gun, or you can have Nightstick attached, which is probably what I'd prefer in this case.
DK2 Guard is based on the original toy Ironhide is based off on. He's a repaint of the hard to get Arthritis mold, and while it looks nice, he has the same problems to Arthritis mold. DK3 Breaker is next and is another Diaclone repaint with Trailbreaker, which is also based on the Diaclone toy. Same goes for Hoist with Lift Ticket, now red for his original Diaclone toy. Won't be surprised to see him in blue also.
Amazon exclusive Wreck and Rule collection. The first set of the Wreckers collection includes Impactor, now in a more Marvel Comics design as opposed to the previous two Impactors, and then we also have Spindle, who is a more Dimetrotron-inspired fossilizer. The next set includes Generation 2 Leadfoot as well as Master Dominus. Now, many may not care about Leadfoot as a character, especially the G2 version, but for me, he's part of the Wreckers in Regeneration 1, which is part of the beloved Marvel Comics run that I love so much, and of course I had to get him. He is a nice update to that original design. He is a retool of Earth Mode Mirage, and he actually is pretty cool. It's actually the first time I think I had the Earth Mode version. He transforms pretty nice and honestly turns into a nice car. Bright yellow, bright blue, overall looking pretty cool. The only thing he's missing is a rotor weapon, but honestly, pretty good Leadfoot. Now for my controversial opinion, I don't like the fossilizers, the weaponizers, or anything that splits apart into multiple pieces, and Master Dominus is more of that. I don't like it. I always have a problem with how floppy and loose these feel and how they never stay together. And in general, I'm just not a fan of the split it apart and make it into weapons or split it apart to transform it, because it just feels like you're getting a toy that's meant to just fall to pieces, and that's all they do for me. So his alt mode's cool, it's a Mastodon skeleton, and I know people really like the fossilizers and the weaponizers because they can do these cool weapon combos. It's just not my jam. It's not my thing, especially with how floppy and loose that Mastodon head is. The next one is Siege Springer, but in toy colors, which is pretty cool. I do think having the Wreckers logo as opposed to the actual original toy logo throws off the look just a bit. Hey, remember that bulkhead that everyone was like, wow, that doesn't look like bulkhead? Well, now you can get it in camo. And then we get Diaclone Twin Twist with no top spin. What? Hasbro Pulse Pulsecon exclusive.
The Hasbro Pulsecon exclusive this year with the 2-pack Orion packs and Alpha Trion. Much like the original E-Hobby toy, Orion is a repaint of Studio Series 86 Cup with a new head. Which, funny enough, due to the Cup figure's gimmick, you can't recreate Orion packs as Devastation by ripping his limbs off. Alpha Trion is also a repaint of Studio 86 Scourge, though with much more new parts like his chest, shoulders, and wings. The set also comes with Victor Sigma and his key. Well, this is a set I'd like to get, just never could afford for many reasons.
Haslab Exclusive. The Haslab Victory Saber project shipped this year during Legacy. I did a review of the Victory Saber Haslab set and I covered every single thing about it in excruciating detail, so go check that video out if you want to see Star Saber, Victory Leo, Holly and Fire, as well as Victory Saber as a whole. The whole video's up, ready for you to watch right after this one. Target exclusive Buzzworthy Bumblebee. So first up we have Red Cog, which is actually the security officer from the War for Cybertron Netflix series, which is just a red cog. And it's a nice repaint of Cog. What's interesting, it does come with a backpack connector so you can make the shoulder cannons that Cog turned into for Arcee or any other character. We also have a Buzzworthy Bumblebee release of Silver Streak in blue colors, because Blue Streak was originally blue in Diaclone, even though he ended up being silver in Transformers, and so his name was Blue Streak, even though he was silver, and now there's a Silver Streak that's blue, and I think something broke. We also have a toy color version of Dinobot, so he looks like raw chicken as opposed to a raptor. Isn't that neat?
Evil Predacon Pterosaur, yes, that's what they call him, is a repaint of the Amazon exclusive Golden Disc Collection Pterosaur, and now in toy colors. And yikes! I heard about the QC problems in this mold. Take a look at Sound's copy. While the wings don't pop out as much as before, his joints beside his shoulders and hips are super loose, making it very hard to get him standing. Same problem with Beast Mode. Due to the problem with the loose joints, he can't even stand. Also, I understand using the air razor mold for pterosaur. Both are flying creatures, but man, this thing barely looks like a pterodactyl. Really, I only can recommend this figure if you're like me and never pick up the previous Amazon figure, if you really want to complete your Predacon collection.
This year's 4-pack is called Creatures Collide. First up, we have Beastwars Scorponok, now in toy colors, with an alternate head option to include the masked version from the original toy. You also do get the normal head as well. It's kind of neat having swappable heads on Transformers. I said it before and I'll say it again, I always hate transforming this figure. Of all the bug-type Predacons from Beast Wars, I think Scorponok's transformation is the least fun and the least engaging, and I don't like it. Let's move on. Overall, the Scorpion mode does look like the original toy with that more animation style that the Kingdom figure had, and it's a neat addition. Now, rolling up my favorite obscure alley, it is Ransack. Ransack is one of the Deluxe Insecticons. Here, he's a retool of Kickback. The original toy was a brand new figure, but since these guys never appeared in media, I think it was appropriate that the Deluxe Insecticons are repaints of the Insecticons. You also do get the normal Kickback head as an option, which is nice. His transformation is just as simple as Kickback's was, and it's pretty fun to just kind of flip these guys from robot to bug. And I actually like keeping the Energon swords with him because they're, yellow as opposed to transparent plastic, and I think that's pretty cool and makes them a little different than Kickback. Hopefully Chop Shop and the others will be coming with the other Insecticons in the future. Next up we have Sky Wasp, which is a Skywarp inspired paint scheme on Waspinator, inspired by the BotCon character Parasite. So in addition to the more toy-accurate Waspinator head, you do get, of course, the normal Waspinator head included. This is my first handling of the Kingdom Waspinator mold, since I still prefer the Thrilling 30, and I still prefer the Thrilling 30. This one's good, I just think the Thrilling 30 was better for a Waspinator mold. But this one's got that same bug thing of, man, you gotta compress a lot down into the mold. And yeah, it's a pretty cool Wasp, and I like the Skywarp color scheme. This 4-pack works for me because there's 2 characters I really wanted, and 2 repaints I didn't mind having. Speaking of the other character I wanted, Goldbug. The upgraded body of Bumblebee, he was a jump starter. While not a retool of the original Bumblebee in G1, I think actually just using the Bumblebee mold that was the VW bug and giving him a new head worked out great. Unfortunately, it doesn't come with the Bumblebee head, but that's just how the mold goes. Having this mold multiple times at this point, I really do like the way it transforms. It's a small deluxe, sure, but I love the way that everything kind of morphs and moves together, even if you have to kind of just detach the back half of the car to make it work. And the car mode's great. It's a gold little Volkswagen. It's a nice upgrade to Goldbug's original form. And it's nice to have Goldbug and Bumblebee on the same mold because it feels like an evolution of the character. Walgreens Exclusive. From Masterforce, we have Minerva. Minerva is technically a retool of Elita 1 from Deluxe Wave 2, since that one came out first, but this mold feels built for Minerva. You compare it to the anime design, and she matches up. The only thing missing is that she's not a headmaster, but I'll let that slide this time. Transforming her is actually pretty fun. I found the transformation overall to be a little finicky in a couple spots, but in general was pretty solid. I'm glad I skipped over Elita and got this figure instead. And her car mode's great. I love the little light bar up top. I think it just came together really nice, and I just overall love the details and styling of it. Wal-Mart Exclusives.
First we have Sandstorm, who's a repaint of Kingdom Scorponok based on the original toy from Beast Wars, but now has the mutant head instead. He's alright, though it doesn't really match the original toy's colors with the body. The old figure was more of a dark kind of gold color. The new was more of a sand color. They get the purple legs though. Another part is a unique one as he's based off a cancer figure. During the Universe Toy Line, there was going to be a 2-pack called the Halloween Horrorcon Value Pack, which finally that was going to be a Wal-Mart exclusive also. It said it would include a repaint Beast Wars Cheetor, but now a Snow Leopard, but got cancelled. So it's time they got to revive his concept. Also, you're wondering, yes, he is an Autobot, as all the figures during Universe were either Autobots or Decepticons. Last up is Buzzsaw, and like his original figure, he's a repaint of Waspinator, but with a new head based on the robot head. Unlike Sandstorm, his paint is much more closer to his original toy. Can I hear that music?
Velocitron Speedia 500 Deluxe Class Wave 1.
First off is a retool of Studio Series 86 Blur, now based on his IEW design from Spotlight Blur. While only the front of the car and his head is changed, it does look really great, and while I'm happy with my 86 Blur, I might pick this up one day, because I do like the mold and the light blue really stands out. Next is Burnout, another Diaclone repaint of Skids, which is also our first look at the Crossgun head. Another Diaclone repaint is based on her original figure. Speaking of the Unicron, Clan does another Diaclone repaint based off his original toy, this being a repaint of Kingdom Red Alert. Realize that Prime RC wasn't a bad toy, just bad for the character. But here's one that does, as this mold fits so much better as Road Rocket. I didn't feel this mold was meant for her, as they did change their gender. Also because RC did have this peg on the back where you could fit the blaster and match the Road Rocket's real toy look, and man, this will look really nice. You're gonna pick up this mold, get Road Rocket, just fit the character so much better. And why of all characters is the friend-shaped hockey puck UFO in the subway all about racing. To be Lakitu, of course. Originally a heavy retail Origins Bumblebee, probably before Wal-Mart gave the team money to fund a new mold for him. Cosmo turned into a UFO with a giant drum on top of it with his classic red world-ending button on top. Transformation is nice and simple, really cool head reveal, and look at this little bugger. Compared to past Cosmo toy where they try to make him more cool and bulky, where Legacy went with his classic G1 cartoon fat boy look, which makes me very happy. It comes with his gun that you could also make him hold as a racing flag to fit with the theme of the line, or you could be like me and turn to the flag to the white side to make it look like he's surrendering. Cosmo is perfect and looks great when you play with his fellow mini-bots. You'll all try to fight him though.
Velocitron, Speedia 500, Deluxe Class, Wave 2. So the next Velocitron Deluxe is Crasher. Crasher actually originates from GoBots. Hasbro owns some part of the IP for GoBots, so releasing new GoBots characters is theoretically possible, like Crasher here being a repaint of the Earth mode Mirage. I will say, this is the second time I've gotten this mold this year. It's pretty good still. I do enjoy it, even if it gets a little hung up in some places of the transformation. And it's nice that the Velocitron figures are packed in vehicle modes, since they are, of course, a racing theme. And when you look at Crasher, yeah, she's a repaint of Mirage. But if you look at her compared to her animation counterpart, you can see where all the colors came from. So while she can't be animation accurate, I think this is a great way to represent Crasher in a Transformers line.
Lost of Deluxe figure is Shadow Strike, which is based on the unreleased G2 Sunday concept. Interestingly, they made Shadow Strike into a new character and not just G2's drag strip. But anyways, he looks really slick with the black, gold, and blue paint scheme. So it makes me wonder if they're gonna repaint the rest of the Sun because they're G2 colors also.
Velocitron, Speedia 500, Voyager Class, Wave 1. Voyager Class Road Hauler. Would it be weird to say this was my most anticipated Velocitron release? Well, he's great. Road Hauler is theoretically based on the one-shot character Hauler from an episode of G1 where they needed a crane truck and Grapple didn't exist yet. This figure is, of course, a green repaint of Grapple, which is based on the E-Hoppy version, and it transforms the exact same way, and it's really, really satisfying. As you can see, his robot mode does match up to the E-Hobby version Road Hauler that was released in the commemorative line, and so you can kind of see that that's where the color scheme came from, inspired by that one-off character. I also love that he's screaming constantly. It gives him a lot of personality, like he doesn't know if he should be here. And this is just me, but I absolutely love this mold, and now being the fourth one of it, I really do like it. 2 crane trucks, 2 fire trucks, I'll take more, but I don't think there's any more potential ones that we've seen before in the past. Hailing from Transformers Cybertron is Override. Originally planned as a retool Studio Series hotshot, I'm super glad Override got a brand new figure, even if she's deluxe sized in a Voyager price point. Her transformation is incredible. It's very reminiscent of the original Deluxe Override from Cybertron, but with no springs, no auto transformation, and it just feels so much more satisfying. I especially love that her cannons flip out like the original Cyberkey gimmick. And yeah, this is just a much more animation accurate Override, and so much more of an improvement over the original for having better proportions and no springs whatsoever. Absolutely a great figure. Velocitron, Speedia 500, Voyager Class, Wave 2. Here's a weird story. The second wave of Velocitron Voyagers was supposed to include a toy color Hot Rod based on the Studio Series figure. Except as of right now, it has not seen release despite being revealed through Walmart listings. And according to Hasbro's design team, there is no official plan for release. It's not officially canceled, but there's no way to release it. So I guess it's canceled. Maybe we can get a show-colored version instead? Velocitron, Speedia 500, Leader Class, Wave 1. Leader Class Robots in Disguise 2001 Universe Scourge is a big letdown for me, and I'm going to be honest, I love the character and I would love an update, especially on this mold, but look at the colors from the show. This doesn't match up. The grays are all missing. It's all wrong. I know they really focused on getting the clear windows working, but I just don't need clear windows when I would like the color scheme of the character. It would be nice to see because, yeah, it's a really great character, and it's a bummer that this is the only toy version we got at the moment. Velocitron, Speedia 500, Leader Class, Wave 2. And our last figure we're covering in the 2022 Legacy Rundown is Galaxy Shuttle from Victory. Not exactly sure what a space shuttle is doing in a race theme, but I will always take more Victory love, especially a character like this who didn't have that many on-screen appearances. Galaxy Shuttle is a retool of Siege Astrotrain, which means he comes with the landing pad and all the weapons that version of Astrotrain included. This also means he does have a train mode because, well, Astrotrain, and you can transform him from the shuttle to the train. You're probably like, okay, well, the original Galaxy Shuttle didn't have a train mode. Right, so what did they do? They homaged Galaxy Express 999, the anime series that is a seminal, influential work. And it's really cool because this is an all-black train in that same style of steam engine. So I think it was an intentional reference. Of course, he does transform from train back into a robot mode, and it's really fun. I actually do enjoy this. I didn't get the original Astro Train release, so this is kind of fun to have. And when it comes down to Galaxy Shuttle, he only really appeared in robot mode 3 times in Victory, so we never really have a good shot of him. And the reference art, I'd say he's close enough to the original to count really well. Honestly, getting a Galaxy Shuttle is amazing, and for him to be a Wal-Mart exclusive and not some like weird convention exclusive is kind of cool. Hopefully, better distribution for him in the future though. So that was a crazy year of Transformers, and I'm just really excited for what the future is going to bring. It was just such a wonderful breath of fresh air to get so many different characters, from Cybertron to Armada to just weird ones like RID Scourge existing was great, or Victory getting Galaxy Shuttle. It's just really cool, and I hope that over time, Transformers continues to improve on its quality as well as its distribution so that more people can enjoy it. And I'm really looking forward to what's coming up in the future. But let me know what you're looking forward to in the future of Transformers in the comments down below. Hit that like button while you're down there, hit subscribe and the notification bell, and please, please, please go follow DarkClass643 on Twitter, because I appreciate so much of the work he put into this video. He did a great part for his section of the video. He just did such a great job, and I'm really, really grateful for his help here, as well as his help making the art on all the thumbnails for the prior rundowns. And I really appreciate his help getting through the tough part of the year where we're working on the rundowns in the beginning. Also, be sure to catch me live here on this YouTube channel Mondays at 5 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about Transformers quite a bit. Check out my social media at Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Soundout12. And you can also check out Hero Club at hero-club.com, where we cover Transformers news and a lot more. So on that note, this is pretty much it for the rundown for this year. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be seeing you next year for the rundown. But of course, in between then, there's going to be plenty of videos coming all throughout 2023. So until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.